Okay, this is my first YouTube tutorial. This is a blower fan from a 2005 Cadillac Deville, giving me some problems. There's a lot of videos out there that explain how to take it out of the car, so I'm not going to go into that. We're just going to go into how to test it and a way of trying to repair it. These are our 3 pins here. Grab our handy dandy multimeter here. And we're just going to make sure we have continuity between these pins here. And we do. So we know that the coils are working. So what we're going to do is we're going to look inside of it to see if maybe the brushes are bad, or we can see something blown out with the air vent. Now there's these 4 screws here that will allow this cap to come off. Being careful not to strip. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to take the blower fan itself off. I use a regular painting mixer. Just stick it in there and wedge it while spinning it. Because we're using the wood, it tends to do less damage. That's off. And now that this is off, we're just going to push down, and that removes it from the housing. This one gets a little trickier because it's really compressed in there. So in this case, we can use a vise. We don't want to over tighten it. Alrighty. I'm going to take out these 2 screws, but don't lift any of this apart yet. Why we're going to be careful, because there's actually a circuit board in here with wires connected to brushes. You can see that too well. So I'm going to push on this shaft here to help it out. There's magnets inside, so they really have to pull it out. Okay, so now you have this. So now what I do is hold on to the board and just pull off this back cap. Okay. Again, just to make things a little easier, I'm just going to hold it in place. Again, don't tighten it down too much. And we have the 2 wires here. I'm going to pull those inwards. That will bring the brushes in. You can pull it out. Now if you would have just pulled it off, it would have just exploded like that. And what we're doing is we're looking at making sure there's nothing burned. Take the springs out so we don't lose them. What I do is I make sure that we have continuity between the 2 pins here and the front of these brushes. That way we can make sure the brushes are working. So we already knew we had continuity on the first test. You can see my meter there. Showing that we have a dead short, and that's kind of what we want. Short just means that it's continuity. Try this one here. And that's what we want. Now this has already been cleaned. The time-consuming part is when you're testing between all of these. Each one of them is separated, and you test continuity between each one to make sure that there's none of these coils are broken inside. Then what we do is we, with a compressed air, or an air compressor is what I use, blow out the inside of this to get all the dust and grime out of it. As you can see, there's still some in here because it's almost like a grease. Okay, so now we're gonna reassemble this using the same care. So I'm gonna put the springs back in. Now on some motors there's actually a hole so that you can actually stick a pin in and hold these in place, but they don't have holes in these. And it can take some time to get them in there, to get used to it. So just using fingers, hold it in place, push this one into place. I'm going to slide this right back over past. Make sure it sits on there nice. If these fall off, obviously just put them back on. Just push into place. Now looking at this, you can tell you have just one spot where this is going to match up. Making sure we don't lift the board upwards. Side view here. Okay, so that's there. Lining it up there. And then you want these coils here to be facing towards the motor itself. Making sure I just put everything into place. Okay, so now that's all together there. Now again, we're going to put this back into the housing, but you're going to hold on to it so that it doesn't, pull you in and go to the sides and stuff. And it is tough. We're just trying to get that in the center there. Spin it so that it's in the right position. Again, I'm trying to make sure this doesn't go all the way that direction there. Okay, so now it's all seated in there, making sure it spins. Again, I'm just doing this to hold it in place. Want to make sure you hand thread them in first, so you don't strip them as you're using hand tools. I'm impatient. Make sure this can be spun. Okay. As you see, it doesn't take that long. So now we just reverse how we took it apart. Bring this in first. It only lines up one way. You just push down, making sure this is clear. This is keyed. This only goes on one way. If we look, there should be grooves in this, which there is. You can see these. So we want to make sure it lines up. I just put it on and then I make sure, well, I was lucky that time. I look through the holes to see if I can see the screw holes below. I just slowly push down. Again, it seats in there and it shouldn't be able to turn. Screws in. Pretty self-explanatory here. Just like always, you go across each other. It's plastic, so you want to make sure you don't strip. Now we're putting this back on. It is grooved, so it only just push down on it. And that's it. Put your stuff on so you're ready to install it back in the car. What I do is, before I install it though, obviously the whole purpose of this was to clean it out to make sure that it is a dead motor, because as they give out the prices, they're $100 to $200 from what I've seen, you know, and I think that's used prices. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please let me know how I did.